Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the 5.Diosh here. So I wanted to go back over something. In my previous video, I put out a video about the plexiglass bell housing template for the slant 6 to Kubota swap. And I wanted to kind of explain why I'm doing that, because that seems a little outlandish from the outside. You know, you may not understand why I would want to do that. You may not even understand what exactly I'm doing. Basically, I've got that Kubota V2203 that's going into my 87 Dodge D150. I'm removing the slant 6, putting that Kubota engine in there. And you might be saying to yourself, that's a 3.7 straight 6, that's a 2.2 4-cylinder. Why on earth would you do that? Well, basically it boils down to the amount of power and fuel economy that Kubota offers in a very small, simple package that's easy to work on and has excellent parts availability. So, and it's a really cool idea to me. I think it'd be awesome. So, it's something a little bit different. So, normally this type of swap is done in Ford Rangers, Chevy S10s, Jeeps of various kinds like XJs, MJs, YJs, TJs. So pretty much all of your 90s and early 2000s Jeeps, and including all the Jeeps all the way back to World War II. I think I've seen a Kubota swapped into so many different Jeeps, it's not even funny. So the point is, I've looked at all these guys' real world fuel economy numbers and dynos, the people that have done dynos. And the interesting thing to note is that particular truck, my truck, when it was new, it had 170 pound-feet of torque at the crankshaft. Just putting a turbo on the Kubota and adjusting the fuel rack to go with the amount of boost, which was about 16 psi. And I don't think that engine was running 100% either in this video that I watched. But basically, our worst case scenario, we get rid of the drivetrain loss, because that guy put down 176 pound-feet of torque. That doesn't sound like a lot, but we're only dealing with a 3,800 pound truck with a very simple driveline. It's a 3-speed automatic with lockup, basic, rear differential. So we're not moving a lot of weight, and we're not moving a complex driveline. But also, one thing to note is a lot of the vehicles that I just listed are lighter than my truck, but not by a whole lot. We're talking, 400 pounds. So if you had a Cherokee and you had a couple extra guys in the Jeep with you, that's the difference. You probably wouldn't even notice it, because the truck as it sits, put 400 pounds in it, you really don't notice it. So I'm not worried about the weight difference. The gearing is actually surprisingly almost spot on. Cruising at 55 puts it right in its torque peak of about 2,100 RPMs. So, and I do want to keep the automatic and change the governor to match the shift points to the engine. That doesn't seem to be very difficult to do, but we'll get to that when I get to that point. But I just wanted to go over my expectations and my goals here. So I started with a little bit of the expectations. Basically, my bare minimum is match the factory performance level as the original truck. But at that point, also, I have the expectation that it's going to be 25 miles to the gallon instead of my current average of 16 to 17. So, of course, I want to go up from there, but that's my starting point. That's what I want to get to initially. I think I'll probably overshoot both of those goals pretty much immediately. Other people's real-world fuel economy numbers are actually putting them, I would say, average of 30. I've seen everywhere from 27 to 33, and that's on lifted Jeeps with bigger tires. So that's... I don't have a 4-wheel drive, big tire lifted, it's lowered, it has 28-inch tires. So it's a recipe for actually getting the high end of that spectrum. So my goal is to actually hit 30 plus. but my expectation is 25. My torque expectation is around, at least get me to the 170-ish mark of the factory slant six, which it's not hard to do. Those engines, like I said, as soon as you put a turbo on them, you're pretty much there. You're actually exceeding that, because 16 pounds of boost was 176 at the wheel, and then I've seen where 24 is almost 300 at the wheel. So these respond very well to boost, and they're fairly easy to modify actually, so that makes it fun too. The engine's actually slightly less weight than the Slant 6. You go from about 400 and I've seen numbers about 480-ish on a Slant 6. They're very heavy for what they are. The Kubota, on the other hand, is 400 without a turbo. So I imagine adding a turbo and some plumbing, we'll throw another 30 pounds on that, is my guess. So we'll say the truck actually ended up weighing 3750 versus about 33 and some change with the other vehicles that typically get these engines. So, but a lot of the stuff on this truck is sized, like the fuel system, the fuel hoses, the exhaust system, the amount of room in the engine compartment. It's actually very well suited. Everything's on the right side, everything's the right size, so it's almost a shoe-in to drop this engine in there. So the goal is to plan this thing out and have everything set up to where in one work day I can remove the Slant 6, put the Kubota engine in, and actually have it moving under its own power. Maybe power steering will be another day, but I just need to be able to move it in and out of the shop and not have it in the way within one work day. So thankfully I've got that extra transmission so I can test fit all that stuff. Most of that time is going to be, most of the variables of that time are going to be related to getting the motor mounts completed, which I've already got drawn and designed and measured, and so those are going to be very simple to build. So I don't think there'll be much issue there either. So yeah, basically the expectations are put a transmission together that'll handle it, and then have that truck put about 300-ish foot-pounds to the ground, 30 miles to the gallon. So basically we're looking at doubling the torque, doubling the fuel economy, and then having just a really cool swap, you know. So simple mechanical diesel, easy to work on, easy to maintain. Parts availability is just pretty wild, because they've been making them for probably 30 years, and they've made millions of those engines, and they're very modular and interchangeable. So I'm really looking forward to being able to have this engine in there. So I just wanted to give y'all the rundown of kind of what I was doing, why I was doing it, what I expect to get out of it, what my goals are, the end goals, and just to give you a little bit of a primer on where that's headed. And because I got some, I've already started working on some other stuff, so I was like, I got to get that out of the way before we start just steamrolling this thing, because I've already got the engine torn down and got a couple repairs to do, but got the materials for the adapter plates in already. So I wanted to make sure y'all knew what was going on before we started putting it all together. So anyway, I guess if I missed anything, or if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. And most of the stuff that got left out, if I left anything out, will get answered in the future video. So you know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.